Is there a noise that's coming up? I don't know. Is okay. And we are live. How are you, Hazel, this morning?
Absolutely fabulous. I cannot wait to speak this morning. I'm ready to awaken the leader in the attendees that are watching. They are in for an exciting morning.
Super. And I can see that you are looking really, really beautiful. Yesterday I was having a, yesterday I was having a conversation with a couple of people who actually attended, and all of them told me that you look cute. You look really, really cute.
Thank you. And yesterday it was, I had a bit of a nightmare with my laptop. Talk about technology and innovation. And I had to do the webinar off my phone, but I'm so excited that I'm back on my laptop this morning. And this is what happens with technology and doing things virtually.
Oh yes, oh yes. Sometimes technology gives us a lot of challenge. So
Yeah.
welcome Ahmed from Egypt. It's early morning, like around 4:20 in their country. But yes, he joined. That
Oh, wow.
shows, yeah. And I can see another person. Okay, let me. Um, okay, so it's practically early morning in India. So very good morning, everyone. Once again, welcome to World Leader Summit. So World Leader Summit is actually happening with 120 speakers from different parts of the world. So I was counting the number of countries that we have from the participation point of view as well as from the viewpoint of attendees. Um, we have around 93 countries as of now who are actually joining. I'm not sure that how many participants are joining at this moment. Uh, let's see. Okay. For the audience, we'll be starting within exactly 15 minutes because our exact time to start is 8:30 a.m. Indian time. So we have 30 minutes left to start the uh, webinar. But yes, for all of us, we'll be accepting the people, and slowly people are joining. I can see the number is increasing, and I can see the viewers are increasing as well.
Exciting.
Yeah. Oh my God, I can see another person from Egypt is joining. My God, it's 4:25 a.m. People are excited. Okay, yeah, I can see that both of them joined. Great.
Awesome.
So
Welcome, Egypt.
welcome Egypt. But where are the Indian guys? We are sleeping or what?
Okay, yeah, I'll wait for that.
Okay, so for all the audience, I was really sorry. I was, working day in, day out, like taking things alone with a couple of, invitation and other things. I'm really sorry that if I couldn't welcome you formally. So let me give you another, rundown what's happening in World Leader Summit. So World Leader Summit actually started yesterday, yesterday morning, early morning, and we are blessed that we had Dr. Hazel from Australia who joined, and she actually was the keynote speaker, and she's the keynote speaker today itself. She'll be starting the summit again. We had yesterday, we had Mr. Kaiser Nassim from Dubai who was talking about the latest generation banking and international banking. And then Mr. Eric Kai from China talking about latest generation robots and how it is connected with the banking and financial system. Mr. Mohammed from Kuwait, and he was talking about more on blockchain technology and latest generation things that are happening in blockchain. We had Isabella from Spain talking more on cryptocurrency and the alternative payments, and Terry from Sweden giving us insights on the cybersecurity and the security level on blockchain, what's going on and what is coming up, and the kind of level of security system that is there across the world. So yesterday's theme was actually banking and fintech, as well as blockchain and crypto. So in the second half, we had Ritesh Jain joining us from UK, and then Mr. Smarajit Mitra from India, Dr. Wendy Charles from US, Michelle from UK, and we had all of our favorite Martin from US. Today's theme is actually leadership, agri, food tech, and biotech. So we'll be starting the session very soon with Dr. Hazel, and then after that we have Dr. Prashun from US, then Nilipa from India, Anuj from India, and Dr. Rudra Shah from India. We'll have a session break, and in the evening from 4 o'clock onwards, we have Miguel from Spain, Juan from Spain. He'll be more talking on agri-tech and what's going on globally. He's doing a massive work. Then we have Dr. Paramita Basu from USA, Sir Timothy from USA, Dr. Diani from USA, and then wait for the amazing night, the Startup Award. We had more than 4,000, I think 6,000, I really forgot the number, probably 6,000 across the world. And we actually filtered up around 60 filtered startup who are actually going to get the award. And today itself, we have the award night for food tech and biotech and agri-tech startups who are getting award and recognition. What is going to happen for award? It's not only a recognition, what we are doing, we are actually trying to connect them with the market. Along with that, we are giving them the investor connect as well as the supports from several different global banks. I'm really honored that we are tied up with so many banks, and they are supporting us. They're supporting the whole cause as well as the startup. Let me give thanks to all our partners, marketing partners, technology partners, ecosystem partners. So all the designs, all the cool stuff that you have seen so far in World Leader Summit is done by a great, amazing guy and his company based out of Rajkot. His name is Vittal. Thank you, Vittal, for all your graphics and your creative. And I'm really thankful for Avik, who actually created the website of World Leader Summit. Really thankful, buddy, and you have done a massive job day in, day out. We have been working rigorously, working closely, and all our ecosystem partners, Entrepreneur Face, Achiever Hub, BizTech have done super cool stuff. Thank you so much for the same, Drick. And we had Extended Reality of India, IMIT College, TechSauce. Thank you so much, TechSauce, for all the support that you have done from Thailand, the biggest entrepreneurial event in Thailand. Millennium Divas, Wadhwani Foundation, NEN, IBM TV, thank you so much for all your support regarding the live streaming. For all of you, we have live streaming happening for 6 different smart TV channels, along with multiple number of social media, which includes US, Russia, and Africa, as well as Australia and the whole world. Come on, how can I forget the world? We are here. So thank you so much, Digital Africa, as well as Autonomous University and HD Africa, for connecting us with also so-called cool stuff, along with the multiple number of startups that is there. Thank you so much for all the technical supports, IOI Industries, Virtual Infocom, Supreme Corp, as well as the partners, VGD, the Cybersecurity Geeks, I Am Superhero, the yoga training, My Films, Sports Zone In, Squash Code has done marvelous job. He is here. I can see Sagar. Thank you so much for all the supports. Cosplay Seller, Second Life Tech, All Digital, PR Signal, Animation Reviews, Glam World Face, Avlu Global, 8 Metals, Deep Tech Technologies, and Anim Gaming. Thank you so much. Thank you for being with us. So let me formally introduce you to our first speaker. Well, as you can see, we can see that we have a great human being, a beautiful soul from Australia. She joined us, and to be very honest, before I give you her introduction, she is doing a massive work in terms of leadership. She is doing excellent stuff by improvising human life. Dr. Hazel Harrington is from Australia. She is a 2020 Global Entrepreneurship and World Greatness Award winner. She is an Australian Global Goodwill Ambassador. She is a Woman of the Year nominee for Australia, 2020 Pan-African Thrive Award winner. And she is a celebrity interviewer, business consultant, a global speaker, and a brand ambassador. Welcome to World Leaders Summit, Hazel. How are you feeling today?
Absolutely fantastic. Looking forward to sharing my vision with the attendees and how I achieve success through this current pandemic.
Super. Welcome, Farah. And I'm really honored, and we are happy that we can see so many people are joining from various parts of the world. So I can see, thank you, Mofizul, for joining. Thank you, Piyush, for joining. Thank you, Sagar. Thank you, others. Okay, I can see there are pings coming up. Hazel, give us a few minutes because there are people who are giving me text that okay, some people are having some issues to join the webinar. Anyway, let me give a permission to one of my teammates. He can probably help them out better. And here we go. Sagar, please help others so that they can join, and let me concentrate on the summit. Thank you so much. Okay, so our first speaker, as you can see, we have already introduced her. And Hazel, give us some idea about your today's speech. What is going to happen? A brief rundown, probably.
Okay, today I'm going to be speaking on embracing change and transformation, breakthrough, innovation, and creativity. And basically how important having vision is important, how vision is important as a leader, and the importance of being creative. And I'm also going to be talking about why Finland is one of the countries that has got the greatest education systems in the world.
Super. And for the live tweet, I'll be requiring your face. So could you please look at the camera and stand still for, yeah. Thank you so much, Hazel.
Thank you.
You are the darling.
Thank you.
Okay. Okay, so we are going to start. 1, 2, 3. Sorry for all the hiccups that happened in early morning. I'm really sorry. I can see that few of our teammates are having some issues joining the session. So anyway, thank you for joining all of us. All of you, I'm so sorry. Let me put my mic into mute, and let me welcome you formally again. So ladies and gentlemen, please allow me to welcome Dr. Hazel Harrington. She is a celebrity global entrepreneurship and global greatness award winner, Australian Global Goodwill Ambassador, a Woman of the Year nominee, 2020 Pan-African Tribe Award winner, and she is a celebrity interviewer, business consultant, global speaker, brand ambassador. Over to you, Hazel. We are live.
Thank you so much, Arajit. Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to thank you for attending the World Leader Summit this morning. If you are attending from India, good morning. Good morning, Africa. I'd also like to welcome those that are tuning in from Egypt. I understand it's 4 a.m. over there and you went out of your way to tune in this morning. Congratulations to you. Those are leadership qualities that we're looking for right now. And we encourage everybody that's watching to listen carefully at how we transformed not only our lives, but the lives of others over the years and how we achieved success during this pandemic. My name is Dr. Hazel Harrington, and as Arijit said, I'm from Australia. I'm Australia's Global Goodwill Ambassador. I'm also an organizational business coach, business advisor. I'm also a humanitarian, global speaker, and celebrity interviewer. It is an honor to be speaking today here at the World Leader Summit. Today, I'm going to be speaking and sharing on embracing change and transformation, breakthrough innovation, and creativity. Vision is important when it comes to being creative. And one of the lessons I've learned as a leader is that vision is not something that everybody has. We may have the eyes and we look and we see, but not all of us see the same thing. When we're talking about vision, it is the ability to see beyond where you are. Where is your organization going? What do you see? I'm reminded of a story that I read on Walt Disney. He started off as a cartoonist, and he started off with Mickey Mouse, and that transition to Alice in Wonderland, Snow White. And not only did he just remain stagnant, but he moved from being a cartoonist, and today he's got Walt Disney. And everybody knows the theme park Walt Disney. That's the power of vision. It's the same thing with Facebook, with Netflix, the biggest companies at the moment that are transforming the world. They had the ability to see beyond where they were at that moment. So today I'm going to be sharing on Finland and why they have the best education system in the world. What did Finland see? What was their vision? And what blew me away with Finland is that they saw beyond the current education system that we are seeing around the world. They looked at the education system and they said to themselves, what can we change? Because innovation is all about change. It's about transforming where you are to where you want to be. The title of my topic is Transformation and Change. You are a leader, you're watching this. And when we're talking about organizational transformation, we are saying, where is your organization now? Where do you want it to be in the next few years, 5 years, 10 years, 15 years? Organizational transformation. And what organizational transformation needs? It needs visionary leaders, leaders with a purpose and a mission, leaders that see beyond where your organization is here, leaders that are able to solve complex problems. My favorite quote of this year is that the future belongs to those that are willing to innovate and solve complex problems. Finland has the best education system because they solved a complex problem in the education system. Right now, the students in Finland are the best in results when it comes to maths, science, and reading. So what did Finland do? Well, I'm going to share what they did. The first thing that Finland did is that they looked at the students. They improved the quality of the life of the students just by saying, you know what? The kids don't have to get up so early in school, so early to get to school. Because studies show that if students get to school by 8 a.m., they're not thinking straight. It's affecting their well-being. They're still sleepy and they're resistant to education. So they changed the time that children needed to get to school. In Finland right now, the Finnish children get to school at 9. They start school at 9. And they also end school early, between 2 and quarter to 3. That's when they finish school. The second thing that they did is that they created value for the teachers as well. The teachers only spend 4 hours teaching, and then they have 2 hours for professional development, creating value. Let me tell you what leadership is all about. Leadership is about creating value for people and empowering them. And I have to salute the Finnish, because what they did is that they're not only creating value for the students in making sure that the teachers are not overworked, but they also created an incentive for them by making sure that they were also getting professional development. The other thing that they did is that the students only have 9 years of compulsory school, which means by the time they get to 16, they have a choice whether to go to college or university. And here's the amazing thing is that in Europe right now, we find that the Finnish, they have the best results even when it comes to graduates in the whole of Europe. University is free. You know, I'm in Australia, university is not free. I am happy that I'm not in debt. I paid for my university degree. But you find, I think, compared to the United States of America, we have a lot of students that are in debt. And I mean, we're looking at the SDG goals from the that the United Nations has set for 2030, that everybody must have free education. And I'd like to see this also implemented in the universities around the world, in Australia, in the United States of America, free education, especially in university. Well done to the Finnish for what they're doing. And that's why they've got the best education in the world. What else did they do? Students learn more languages. Wow, you know, this blew me away, and I was like, they learn more than 3 languages, and they're tested on 2 of those languages in order to enroll in university. And I looked at our current education system and I was like, they are the best because they looked at innovative ways of how they can educate the children. And it's so different. Innovation is about thinking out the box. It's all about finding new ways of solving old problems. So as leaders, this is a question that we have, not only for our businesses, but for governments and the current education system that we have at the moment, especially with COVID. Because what COVID has done, it's that it's forced us to do business in new ways, especially in education. We're looking at Africa as well, who doesn't have access to the internet. What can Africa do in order for their students to change things, to change the education system? I mean, when it comes to innovation, leadership, it's about doing things differently. So I'm speaking for those that are watching, that heads of government, heads of education systems, it's time to think out the box. You know, the Finnish decided to do this and they weren't following the status quo. They were disruptive. That's what leaders do. They didn't do what was normal and what everybody was doing, and the results have been amazing. What else did they do? Well, what they did is that the teachers were given the same status as lawyers and doctors. Wow. I mean, we look at the teachers I was reading a story in Africa where the teachers are getting paid less than $500. It is a sad situation. Very, very, very sad. And I'm so impressed by the Finnish and what they're doing in the education system. And I want to focus on the leadership qualities that I see coming out of the Finnish. They were committed to their vision. And we're talking about a leader. You have a vision, you have a goal. And let's just say nobody believes in you or has faith in your vision. You know, even in the government right now, in the government systems, and you're coming up with ideas and you are looking at other people just, if people are not following, if people don't buy into the vision, you are quitting. But that's not the way to go. If you have a vision and you believe in your vision, then go with that vision, whether or not everybody is not doing it. They inspired others to follow their vision. That's another excellent quality that came out of Sweden, the Finnish. They empowered others. They invested their time, their resources by empowering the teachers, making sure that the teachers spend 2 hours in professional development and making sure that the teachers were given the same status as doctors and lawyers, very well respected. Good on you to the Finnish. They had a true leadership commitment to the people. Leadership is all about the people, and I commend the Finnish for that. Their vision was transgenerational. Here's the reality, that as leaders is that when we have a vision, it shouldn't be just for now. We need to look at the future generations. How can we impact future generations? And I always talk about sustainability. And in everything that we do, we're also looking at protecting the environment. Most importantly, I congratulate the Finnish on they are producing future leaders. And this is a clarion call to Africa. I find that Africa has a problem in creating our future leaders, whether it's in politics, whether it's in business, is that there's a void in raising up the future leaders. What they're doing is that they're empowering these students, teaching them more than one language, making sure that their quality of life is good, not putting a lot of pressure on the children in school, letting a kid just be a kid. And I commend the Finnish. And in closing, I just want to say this, that we are all called to lead. And from the story, the takeaway is that we may see, but not all of us have the vision to see beyond where we are. See beyond where you are. See a future. Employ those that are willing to handle complex problems and have a vision to empower others, have a vision to create a legacy. Thank you very much.
It was an excellent speech. Thank you so much. So we are open for question and answer from the audience. If there is any question, please type that in the chat box or probably type it in your social media handles. We're waiting for the question. Give me a second. Uh, so Hazel, I have a question for you. I'm really sorry that I need to take a couple of calls from the speakers who are joining next in the panel.
Okay.
Few of them are getting technical issues, just like yesterday. Probably Zoom is overloaded with people. Uh, Anyway, so I have a question. Like, you have been talking a lot about leadership qualities and how people can become great leaders, and how leadership qualities can be enhanced in someone's mindset. Um, Taking a granted situation for anyone who is coming from Africa, probably from the village part of Africa, where they have never ever seen latest technologies or probably new generation TV, And let's forget about the smart stuff that we have. Let's concentrate on the human basic needs. So if we look at them, do you feel that we can enhance leadership qualities to those people who are actually from grassroots? I can ask you the same question. It goes to those Indian people who are probably from very different part of India, from villages, who are probably trying to generate their livelihood from the village, and they are trying to grab some amount of food, and probably they feel that they are not meant for the city, they are not meant for the urbanization. They rather try to stay back to their own cozy village and don't come out. What is your suggestion for these people?
Excellent question. Thank you, Arijit. Well, I actually have an organization called Destiny Arise, and you can find it at www.destinyarise.org. What we do is that we go into rural areas, the rural schools. We run youth empowerment conferences, job creation, equipping and empowering youth to become job creators instead of job seekers. So what we need to do as leaders is to also go into those markets and teach them how they can become job creators, how they can become the leaders that they were born to be. And I admire the Global Goodwill Ambassadors, the organization of which I am the Global Goodwill Ambassador. They're empowering leaders like myself to go into rural areas and to empower others. So that is one way that we as leaders can help. And I think that as leaders that are in the rural community is to attend such events, as well as to listen to the elders in the community. I know we've got chiefs and elders. Um, I believe that it's the people that are experienced, we need to be able to take advice, and they, in a multitude of counselors, there's wisdom. So that's one thing that they can do, learn from the elders, learn from those that are excelling in agriculture, in business, in their communities as well.
So talking about agriculture, I mean, it's rightly said because we have uh, basically a panel which is coming up very soon for agri, biotech, healthcare, and Ayurveda. When we look at humanity as humanity, I personally feel that humanity is more on happening stuff, which is practically, to be very honest, needs lot of improvisation on food and agriculture, right? And we have people who are working day in and day out in those agri fields. But do you feel that we actually give respect to all those people who are farmers, who are producing food for us, or what is your opinion?
Um, I feel that farmers in the developing countries don't get the respect that is due to them. I mean, if you look at organic food, how much it is, by the time it comes to the developed countries and how much they're getting it for, I believe that they truly been underpaid for that organic food. I truly believe that more can be done when it comes to sustainability, when it comes to farming methods. Developing countries need a lot of financial aid in order to make sure that we are preserving the climate, we are using sustainable ways of growing the products. And so they need that assistance, that aid, and if we can help them in those areas, that would be fantastic.
Super. So we have a question in the chat box. Uh, Farah from Malaysia, she's saying that what are the leadership action plans that business owners can undertake to make their business more sustainable? During COVID, many businesses were affected and some had to let go some stuff. Perhaps some upskills or reskilling is in place. Your opinion, please.
Yesterday I spoke about that, and one of the things that I said is that yes, we've had to let go some of the stuff. For some businesses, they needed to do that. But one area that we said we shouldn't cut down on is when it comes to being innovative in the business. And if you're going to look at cutting down stuff, we have to look at those that are solving complex problems by retaining those stuff. But I believe that if you are truly making sure that everybody gets involved in the innovation process, there's going to be no need to let anybody go in the business. Because if everybody's solving complex problems, if we're addressing issues, and we're actually solving, when we're solving problems, there is a demand for the product to the surface.
True, true, super. Uh, can you have a, okay, so I've got the first tweet message. Super. So the question is, it's probably from Vietnam. I can't understand from which country, probably from Vietnam. It says so. Am I audible properly? Is my mic working?
Yeah.
Okay, super. So he's asking that they are from a village and there is a network connectivity issue. So they can't learn it from internet. What is the best possible way to enhance or upskill your leadership qualities if they don't have the flexibility to connect to the internet or maybe the latest generation connection? How they can enhance?
Yeah. I remember being in that position a long time ago, even when the internet was first starting, because I am originally from Africa. So we just use the old school methods where we send letters, send emails to the organizations, and then they send us books, manuals of how we can go about it. You can buy books, leadership books, and that's still something that you can do. And that's how I did it. That's how I developed my leadership skills. I read a lot. And the amazing thing is that as I read, I ended up opening my own bookshop because I had so many books. So I took those books to my church and I started selling them. And after selling them, I realized, oh my gosh, I can start a business. And then I opened a Christian bookstore.
Super. Now look at the possibilities. Like she started
Yeah,
her own bookstore and out of scratch. So that's one
yeah.
of the leadership quality. Uh, well, yes. So let me ask you rather than the audience. I have some doubts in my mind. Yesterday also we have been talking about creating followers, creating leaders, creating leadership qualities, and today I have a very simple question. If you are a job worker, like you are working as an employee in some organization, sometimes it happens that if you are inborn with leadership qualities, sometimes when you're working under someone, you don't get that much flexibility to grow inside the organization. It may happen that your seniors are not letting you go up towards that standard. So what do you suggest? How you can enhance that? How you can, address those kind of situations?
You know, I've been in that situation more than once. And here it is. You need to go where you're celebrated and not tolerated. We call it the lead syndrome. I can't remember exactly how it's phrased. But you know, as a leader, you grow and then you reach a certain limit. And when they're trying to repress your growth, you get frustrated. And yesterday I mentioned, I said, if the vision dies, then the whole everything about you begins to die. I am a visionary leader. And what happens to me is that when I'm being stifled and you're trying to, suppress my growth, then I resist. I resist. It's the same thing with a plant. If you try and keep a plant is growing and then you put a lid on it, it will just die. So you don't want to die, you've got to branch out. In other words, go where you're going to be celebrated. Sometimes, what happens is that over the years I've learned is that, and I have to say this, okay, because I've got a Christian background. Sometimes God will send us to a place and where we are there to learn and where we are to grow. And we are there also to help them. And then the season and the time is up where we are then able to move. And sometimes we get frustrated and say, those people didn't value me, but we were never meant to stay. We were never meant to stay. We were meant to just grow and blossom and then move on. So today, when I look at the places where they never celebrated me, and I learned things there. Everything that we go through life is never wasted. I'm talking about some of my experiences. And it's the good and the bad that shape us into the leaders that we are today.
Super, super. Uh, okay, so it's not a question. It's kind of coming something from my own heart. Like whenever someone helps, maybe without any expectation, to be very honest, human being, they have a lot of expectation. Now,
Mm-hmm.
when I say that, I don't have any expectation from someone, but out of love, I'm helping someone, and
Mm-hmm.
I don't need anything in return. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
but when you help, and then that person is getting those help, that person is getting all the kind of network connectivity, all the kind of, you can say, leadership, business, and then one fine day you found that the person you are helping, he or she probably is giving you a very different kind of feedback, and he's saying that I don't need you. You know, I'm now big, so it's done, it's over, it's okay. So as a
Yeah.
human, when you helped, you get a little bit of frustration level. Why I'm helping people without any kind of expectation? So how to address those kind of situations?
Yeah. There's a saying that says, "Don't bite the hand that feeds you." And the reality is that sometimes, people make mistakes. And as the person that's been affected, we need to learn to forgive and, to move on. And I think when somebody makes a mistake and then they actually acknowledge their mistake and they apologize, we must forgive. Yes, and obviously there's that element where you say, okay, even though you're going to continue to do business with them, you remember that. That's wisdom. The second thing is that we must never regret helping people. I mean, we've helped a lot of people and they've got character flaws, but that's the part of being a leader, is that in helping others, we when we help, we are never ever meant to expect anything in return, because that's what makes you a leader, is that you're empowering others. You said it yourself. I'm not expecting anything, but we obviously expect gratitude. And the reality is that as a leader, we're going to go through a lot of emotion. When I say emotional things that are going to hurt, betrayed, people betray you, people that you thought were your friends, especially when you excel and you become successful, you think they're going to be happy for you. I mean, I'll tell you a personal testimony. I thought that the more that I excelled, people would be happy for me, even the people that were equipping and empowering me. And what I learned is that not everybody's going to be happy for you. Not everybody's going to celebrate you. And these are the experiences we're going to go through.
Mhm. So what is your secret sauce, Hazel?
You know what? I've been empowering women and youth for a long time, and my vision is that I would like to leave a positive legacy, a legacy that continues, that we shouldn't look into our own interest, but into the interests of others. I'd like to leave a legacy. Most importantly, I talked about my Christian background, is that my vision is that when I die, is that I want to be able to know that I achieved my purpose. It wasn't the cars, it wasn't the house that motivated me, but I want to make sure that I did the best with what God gave me. And He can say, Hazel, well done, thy good and faithful servant. I did my best. And I've spent a lot of money in Destiny Arise. And yeah, I don't regret it. Money comes and money goes. And yeah, we have to be faithful stewards, but money shouldn't be the only reason why we exist. It should be also to help humanity.
Super. And I can feel that vibration. We have been, I think, talking with each other for a couple of days, and the way you are helping people and the way you are, showing your leadership qualities is really amazing. Let me take an example from the Sindhu culture. I differ to say that it's a Hindu one, but it's a Sindhu one. So when you look
Yeah.
at any of our so-called characters, so-called gods, so-called avatars, we worship, each and every picture, each and every those sculptures are telling us some stories. So I'm actually born and brought up from a background where I had an inclinedness to understand Sanskrit and Pali. So let me give you, for the all audience, let me give you a perspective from Sindhuism. If you look at one of our god, so we have three main strong characters: Brahma, Vishnu, and Maheshwar. So Brahma is the creator, Vishnu is the protector and Shiva is the destructor of badness. And Shiva, the Maheshwar, he has got a snake and in his neck, which is like, wrapping the whole neck and then giving that kind of gesture.
Mhm.
If you look at snakes, why you have a snake in his neck? What is the reason? The quality of a snake is actually they usually are dynamic. You can't predict the way they are moving. It's always, they don't go straight. Their movement is always like this. So as a human, you should be dynamic, and someone who is in front of you, they can't. I mean, they shouldn't get a idea where you are going, how you are going, but you should reach your destiny. And then when you look at the other quality of snake, they have got venom in their brain. But that venom is not killing it. It is actually for its protection, own protection. If someone is coming to, hurt you, you should use that venom. So as a human being, we all have venom in our brain, okay? But that venom shouldn't kill us. It should be used probably very strategically to protect ourselves. And snakes, they have other quality. They go for hibernation. They sleep, but they don't have any kind of eyelid. So if you are a human being in a life situation, you should be always awake from inside. You shouldn't be, sleeping from inside. If you sleep, of course, you are dead. Someone will actually kill you. It's the inside part of it. So I can go on with those kind of, explanation. Probably, if you look at our Vishnu, the protector, the reason he has got that picture that he is sleeping on the top of a snake with five different heads, and he is half sleeping. Okay, he has got a hand. Let me try to show the picture. Let me share my screen because it will be easier to make you understand. Let me Google it. Yeah, I got it. Okay. I hope my screen is visible to everyone. So if you can check this picture, the picture is there, just
Yeah.
like, yeah, that's like this one. So this is the actual original picture of Lord Vishnu, and the picture is pretty simple. He is sleeping, half sleeping, on the top of Kir Sagar, and the inner meaning of this picture of these snakes and this lotus and Brahma and this lady, she is Lakshmi, the symbol of money. Let me try to explain it for all of you. So Sindhuism or these cultures are actually so rich that they are actually giving you inner meaning rather than a picture or asking you to just worship it. If I go to this picture also, the meaning is almost same. Why he is half sleeping like this? He is relaxing. He is just relaxing. Okay. Why? As a human being, if you look at his eyes, it's not totally open. It's half closed. Okay. Um, as a human being, this sea is symbol of our mortal world. In Sanskrit, it's called samsara. Samsara means the mortal world, the whole world that you belong to. And we have always ups and downs in life. So if you have ups and downs in life, and if a person can ignore all those consequences that happening, and he is relaxed, he's showing the world that he is sleeping, but he is watching everything, and be in calm, then the whole five different elements of life is giving him all the power to everything in life. So you don't have to run for money. Rather, the goddess of money will actually come to you, who is a symbol of Lakshmi, and you will create amazing stuff in life. That's the reason Brahma is there from his nozzle. And the symbol of lotus is, lotus always have a hollowness inside, that stem. And the hollowness is for that you should have a hollowness from inside, you should grab everything. But the outcome should be so beautiful that people say, wow, what a look. My God, lotus is so beautiful. That's the part of creation. Now, why is these five parts? What is these five parts? It's called Kam, Krodh, Lobh, Moh, and Matsharya. So these are all five different elements which dominates human being. Okay, Kam means affection, or looking forward, inclinedness for women, sex, and other things. Krodh means your anger. Lobh means you need something, like I need money. Okay, I have to run for money, and for that I can do anything, right? Moh, that means, well, this is my own house, I can't let go my house. This is my ornaments, I can't let go my ornaments if needed. Okay, these are mine, right? So this mineness should be let go. Okay, Matsharya, you are actually not protecting your money, rather you are just throwing it off here and there, don't care about anyone. But all these qualities, which are bad qualities, are killing human beings. So if you can control these stuffs, you are in calmness. And I personally believe, that's a question to you, Hazel. I'm just giving you a perspective from Hinduism. Okay, I can go on with Muslim, I can go on with Christianism. I have read Bible, and probably I am a person who probably go through it probably once in a week. The reason is there are so many things to learn from Bible. There are stories which are actually giving us so many insights. Okay, so that's a question to you as a human being. If we look at these bad qualities, I'll go one by one. Give us, enlighten us, how we can probably dominate those bad qualities, the five different bad qualities.
Okay, I think the love of money is the root of all evil. I think when we strive, money, I've learned, is a very powerful tool. And it's a very dangerous tool in the wrong hands. Most people right now are committing suicide. Well, not most people, some people, sorry. The suicide statistics are really high right now because people are going through, they have a lot of debt because of COVID-19. And so because they don't have money, it's affecting their health. They're committing suicide. For the love of money, we've got crime. For the love of money, people are just, we've got some people that just don't have morals and ethics for what they'll do for money. So I always say that money is good in the right hands and it's bad in the wrong hands. And with the wrong motives, also money can be a very dangerous thing. Secondly, when we're talking about habits, and from what you said of the five qualities, I think that building relationships is important, and having the right motives when you build relationships. I think that your motive must always be right in what you want out of a relationship. I think the saddest thing is people building relationships just to get something out of people and having no care what happens to those relationships afterwards. I also believe in that friendships and that have been built after more than 1 year, or even more than, well, that 6 months is a little bit, that we need to also be quick to forgive and make things right. Yeah, those are just some of my answers.
Okay. Yes, it's answers a lot. It answers a lot. So a question from you, social media, Facebook. I'm so sorry, it's not a question. Probably it's a comment that for women leaders, what is your three best suggestion? How they can probably enhance their skills? Three best suggestions.
Leaders are readers. Number one, read. You've got to develop habits these three habits. Leaders are readers. Um, Number two is that take some time out in the morning to visualize. I was talking about vision. Where do you see yourself? And it's also called like brainstorming. For me, every morning is that I take some time out in prayer, seeking direction, praying. That's number two. And then number three is to stay healthy. I think as leaders is that you of no use to anybody when you're unhealthy. We got a lot of people that work hard and they neglect their bodies and their health. They're eating the wrong things and drinking excessively, and they're depressed. You know what I noticed about the top successful businessmen? Some of them are secret alcoholics, and they, in their passion and their desire for success, they are secretly drinking a lot and neglecting their families. My advice to the top leaders that are so driven, and we're going back to driven for money as well and success, is that don't neglect your family and look after your health, look after your body, you know. Mm-hmm.
Super. You know what? At the same time, I can see I'm fascinated the way you speak, and not only that, the way you suggest and the way you help people. And I can see the emotion that is coming from your eyes, honestly speaking. Eyes are the best mirror of human life. Really, really honored that, we have you for all the 2 days. And of course, we'll be having you for the next couple of decades probably, and we'll be more than happy to working with you very closely for the betterment of humanity. Hazel, it's an honor, it's a pleasure, it's probably the blessings of God that we meet each other and we know each other. I'm really, really honored and happy that you are doing so much. Let's join hands together for all of us. Let's do something cool for humanity and betterment of the world. And with this note, thank you so much, Hazel, for enlightening us and giving us a lot of insights. Probably we will get a lot of questions from social media, because I can see that three team members of ours are actually gathering those questions. They're shooting us those questions, but probably we are starting so early in some countries that they're
Yeah.
joining, very early morning, like 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock. So their reply is a bit late. But yes, we'll be getting back to you with all those questions. What is the best way to reach you? Is there any email ID you'd love to share with the audience? Is there any website you would like to quote? What is the way of reaching you out?
Thank you for that. Thank you for having me, Rajit. It's been a pleasure sharing you at the World Leaders Summit. For those that are watching, they'd like to get a hold of me for organizational leadership programs, coaching, mentoring. You can get a hold of me at hazelharrington.com. If you want to learn more about what I do and my past experiences, you can go onto my website, www.hazelharrington.com. And if you would like to invest, get involved in the my charity that's in Africa, destinyrise.org, give donations and come and help us with the women empowerment programs, with the youth going into the prisons. We need all the support we can get. We are building schools in 2021, working on water projects. You can go to www.destinyarise.org or email destinyariseglobal@gmail.com. Thank you. Yeah. Thank
Okay,
you so
so
much.
Marco is giving you a comment. Fantastic job, Arijit, and great to hear from Dr. Hazel Harrington. Hazel, for all the audience and to the world, we'll be working for world peace and world education. Probably very soon in 2021, all of you will see both of us working together in a couple of different projects. With this note, Hazel, please stay tuned. Please be with us. We are getting a lot of comments. Okay. Hazel, it's a comment again from Ankit Khandelwal. As I told you that it's like early morning, so people are now getting charged, and I can see the number is increasing. Amazing session, Dr. Hazel. Powerful talk, impact keynote. How do you balance your life, Hazel? Good morning. That's the question. How do you balance
Well,
your life?
good question. Because I'm a mom as well, and if you look at my website, meethazelharrington.com, and you see what I've achieved and how I grew my global brand, is that I was still in university at Griffith University. I was a mom and I was traveling the world, interviewing celebrities, speaking on global platforms. But you know what? I always say with leaders is that you have to have a vision and a plan, and what we call time management. I was blessed to have a mom. My mom stayed with me during those times, and she was looking after my daughter while I traveled, and it was hard. It was hard, especially completing my university degree. But sometimes there's a season and a time where opportunities come, and when opportunities come, you just have to say yes, because some opportunities come once in a lifetime. And yeah, so when COVID came, things slowed down a bit. But to answer your question directly, it's all about time management, and yeah, knowing when to rest and when to continue.
Super, super. Thank you, Hazel. Please be with us. So we have our next speaker, Dr. Nilipi. If you are here, please turn on your mic and video. I can see that you're here. Nilipa is from India. Dr. Nilipa, are you there?
Hello.
Yes, we can all hear you.
Okay.
Yes, good morning.
Good morning. Good morning.
Good to have you here. Good to have you here. How are you doing today morning?
I'm very good and well prepared to speak and to share my.
Awesome. Excited?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Definitely.
Super. So, ladies and gentlemen, let me welcome. Here you go. Ladies and gentlemen, let me welcome Dr. Kodivi Nilipa. She is a doctor and she will be enlightening us about the role of holistic medicine in health and treatment. Dr. Nilipa, the stage is yours. Please enlighten us.
Namaste and greetings to all. I'm Dr. Nirlepa. I'm here on this World Leader Summit from India. We run our clinic, Mahasiddha Vaidya Chikitsalayam in Hyderabad, where it is a holistic and wellness clinic. First of all, I would like to thank the committee of World Leader Summit for giving me this opportunity to put forward my views and my representations on the holistic healing and integrated approach of medicine, its role in health and treatment. I would like to begin with a small introduction about my journey. During our childhood days, we used to learn various Sanskrit slokas and Bhagavad Gita. One of the famous Sanskrit saying goes in this way about the physician, Vaidyo Narayano Harihi, where a doctor is given the dignity and honor equal to that of a god, as he had the capacity to elevate and help to heal one who is in suffering, whether it is body or it is mind. This drew my attention from the childhood, as I thought it would give me the fulfillment and contentment of work which I do, and which I think is very important when we go on field to do work. Thus began my journey as a doctor. Was not only merely an option as a career or a profession, but it was a great admiration and great inspiration to be one of them. I started my journey as a homeopath. I started my journey by studying in the Homeopathic School of Medicine, where they first taught me about what is disease, what should be a cure, how should be a disease, and how should be the treatment done. Through the school time, I understood that a human body is not merely a corporeal being. It also has ethereal aspects like mind, emotions, energy system, which play a very important role in cure and maintaining health. After going through all the study, I realized that just following a finite or a limited system of medicine would not attain my goal of giving cure. So out of interest, I started reading about other active and other parallel systems of medicine that were being practiced, like allopathy, what is its approach, Ayurveda, what is its approach and what is the philosophy on which it is brought up, and then naturopathy, and then other types of yoga, etc. Finally, after giving a whole reading and whole studying in an intensive way and in a comprehension way, what I understood was every system of medicine thrive for a common goal, that is to give cure, to alleviate the suffering, but in their own pace, in their own sphere, and in their own dimension. So what I understood was a human being can be defined as not only a single component, but he's a multi-dimensional being. Now let us see and define health and disease in our view. Let us see what is health. Health in Sanskrit is called swastha. That means swastha, to be in alignment with its own state. That is what is called health. Our swastha, or constitution, or prakriti, which is also another word, is determined when we are born, when we are born with the conception, during the time of conception. Yes, any questions? I say I can continue, right?
Please.
Yeah, thank you. So so the health and concept, so at the time of conception, our prakriti is determined, which is a unique genetic code of every individual. Every just like a fingerprint, we have our own constitution. Now based on this constitution, we develop all other elements of our being, that is mind, body, energy, and all. As long as there is harmony and interaction is in a harmonious and in an orderly way, the health is restored and health is maintained. When there is derangement and when there is disharmony in between these dimensions, then starts the dis-ease, the feeling of losing of the easiness, which we call as disease. That dis-ease is a cumulative effect of various derangements in various stages of a human being. That is what to be understood according to the disease. Disease, which we see merely as a group of symptoms, does not happen in a day or does not just start within a minute or something. It is a journey which has been deranged from various stages, and it's a long journey which has been deranged in various stages. So to establish treatment or to establish cure, which we are looking for or which we are aiming for, need to be done in every stage. Every stage has to be reordered or rearranged back to our constitution to get or to establish a complete cure. We, while leading our life, it is very common to have interactions and influences from the external or the internal factors. But to rearrange how far we are able to get back to the health, get back to our prakriti, is what helps us to maintain our health, is the holistic concept of health. Now, I would like to give an example or of how we can approach towards the treatment and all. Let us take the best example of our five senses. The five senses: eye, ear, nose, tongue, and taste. Yes, and skin. So five senses, they work on their own way. They have their own receptors. For example, if we have a favorite food on the table, first our eyes see, it understands the food, it works to its range, like this is the color, this is the visible spectrum. In its visible spectrum, it can see whatever and it gets interpret. Now, through the nose, we smell how is the food, how is the taste of the food and all those things. The smell of the food, what is the taste, and then nose stimulates the taste. Now, if only I persist and say that there is no nose, there is no smelling senses out there, it doesn't exist, will that make a real sense is the question. What I see is true. What I see in the visible spectrum is true. But what the nose has smell is also true. So it has its own receptors, it has its own dimension to explore, the nose. And similarly, the 5 sense organs have their own dimension to explore. There is existence, they exist in every way, but they're not connected, you know, in one to other. Like I cannot understand the smell, the perception of the nose. At the same time, nose cannot understand the perception and smell of eye. Only brain and mind can understand, because it sees it as a whole. It sees it as a eye plus nose plus ear plus tongue and everything, and then interpret the whatever the object or anything. That's why it gets a different perception. Similar is the systems of the medicine which we are passing through. Like we have allopathic system, we have Ayurvedic system. Every system has been developed in its own perception or in its own dimension. But when we are able to understand in a holistic way and understand each system of medicine, each system of, and able to practice and give our best to the patient, then only the patient can be understood in a whole way. Because as I said, patient or a person is a multi-dimensional being. He's just not only at the one part of the being. So keeping this in mind, in Mahasiddha Vaidya Chikitsalayam, which we call in short MSVC, we practice medicine in following way. Like, first of all, we see the prakriti of a patient or the constitution of the patient, because as long as he is aligned, as long as he's coordinated with the with his prakriti, his immunity is intact or can be enhanced. So if we can give a patient the nourishment based on his prakriti, then his health system is ready to fight anything, any unexpected thing, and also it helps to maintain his state and of well-being. So that is what an Ayurvedic system of medicine, if we can see, describes. Ayurveda deals with the concept that whole cosmos is made up of 5 major elements, the Panchabhutas, which we call, and based on this interaction, they develop, they see 3 major principles, functional principles, like Vata, Pitta, and Kapha. Vat, Pitta, or Kapha, in another words. So Vata is mainly responsible for movement, Pitta is mainly responsible for fire and metabolism, and Kapha is mainly responsible to maintain the structure and intact. Now, through Ayurvedic philosophy, if we look, we can prevent, we can maintain a healthy lifestyle. It's Ayurveda is also called Ayurveda, means the science of life. The first blessing which God gives is life, and then through it, what adds is the health. Along with life and health is the best asset. We can manage and do many other things. If these 2 is less, we cannot do anything else, which is a very known fact. So that is how through Ayurveda, first we see the patient's bala, that is Rogi bala. As long as the Rogi bala is strengthened and he is ready to fight any kind of disease, first we prepare the body. Then comes the Roga bala. That is how is disease, how it's strength, and how it can be lessened is the next major factor which we deal. If to understand it in a better way, we can say homeopathic concepts and philosophy helped me to understand disease in a better way. The homeopathy itself states like cures like. That means in order to decrease the disease tendency or disease strength, we need to give a similar action of the similar symptoms drug, so that the disease symptom is decreased or the disease strength is decreased. So the next major part played is the Roga Bala, to how to lessen the Roga Bala, how to increase the Rogi Bala. And the third part, which is the very important part I have seen throughout my treatment, is the psychosomatics. That is every emotion we go through, whether we are trapped in the emotion or we are stuck with the emotion, always influence our body, our disease, and always there is minute or it can be the major cause for the disease. And for that, in my study and experience, flower remedies have done the wonders. There are remedies in case of like, Ayurveda and homeopathy also, but flower remedies do it in a soothing way, where because in an adaptive way, so that the patient doesn't feel the inconvenience of when they are touched with the subtle feels. So I'm basically an homeopathic doctor. So what I did was I adapted these systems towards my treatment. Like when it comes to the nourishment of a patient, I try to make the tinctures of the herbs. And then homeopathy system is already there with the potency medicines. And then third is the flower remedies, which I have adapted. And the best tool of diagnosis which I have used is a unique way of seeing, that is the sacred of pulse diagnosis. Yes, this was the, I can say the blessing, very blessing, which I got from a traditional practicing family of my in-laws, where I learned from them how to see a pulse. The basic principle of the pulse is similar to that of Ayurveda, where with the 3 fingers, we understand Vata, Pitta, and Kapha. We understand what is your constitution. We first see what is your Prakriti. We measure the Prakriti in these ratios. But we go a bit deeper, like Ayurveda deals with Vata, Pitta, Kapha. We go a bit deeper. We try to differentiate even the Panchabhutas in your constitution. And then every organ, if it is in related to the, it is in accordance with the Prakriti or not, how much it has been deviated, what is the causes that led to the deviation, and then the deviated pulse, how can it be brought back in a soothing way, can be measured or can be understood along with the rhythm, rate. We can also see through the patterns of this pulse, we can understand the whole concept of the person in both body and mind. Thus, we see a pulse of both the hands. We check in, whenever a patient comes, we check the pulse first through the body in 7 levels, and then through the mind in 7 levels. And then try to balance first body and mind, because as I said, the coordination of the whole human being is necessary to overcome any kind of disease or any kind of suffering. And then we try to see which herbs or which tinctures or which medicine I can use so that this gets adapted, the patient gets back to the normal state or to the Prakriti. As disease is not a small, the change, it's a journey, so goes the treatment also. But the patient starts feeling better when he is seen in an integrated way. We could get much of success in many cases which were not possible, in various systems of medicine also, when we approach in this integrated way. At the same time, I would also like to mention that it is equally important for a doctor to be unprejudiced and to know when to give the case to which system of medicine if it is not, it is not clear. For example, if a patient comes to me with a diabetic patient, if he has got the blood sugar nearly range of 440 to 500, we do not start with the, we let us start with the what happened to your sugar and what happened to this and cause and all. First thing we need to do is get down the sugar to the normal level, as this level elevated sugar should not become the cause to other diseases, which is very important. And at that time comes the important role of allopathic medicine, where first we need to bring down the sugar level, and then we need to understand what is the next component which we need to understand is what is the seed of the disease, whether it is liver because of liver, or because of heart, or because of the kidney, because of what is the reason which made the sugar elevate to so much level. And then we see in, suppose it is the liver, we go and check the elements of the liver like Vata, Pitta, Kapha, what has made it to elevate. And then we try to see the disease pattern and the Prakriti pattern, that is the constitution pattern and the Vikriti pattern. Then we try to understand the Vikriti, what type of medicine is better to, to decrease the Vikriti, and what type of medicine is necessary to increase his potentiality or the health of the liver. And then we see what made the liver organs stress so much at the emotional level, where we go for the another hand and we try to understand what is the emotional level of stress which he is facing through, so that it can be relieved with the help of flower remedies. And then we try to explain him as the stress, which we see as the major component of all kinds of diseases. So stress management can be done by various methods. One of the best way is flower remedies. As a doctor, I can suggest there are breathing techniques, there are meditation, which help you to manage the stress which you go through. I would just say, like, we cannot avoid any situation. That we need to understand. We cannot just, skip a situation. Escapism will not give us the result. Maybe a temporary relief, but we will have to face at the future. So what we need to do is strengthen our mind, strengthen our body and mind, so that we can face. And how we can strengthen is to be in order with our Prakriti. This is what we follow in MSPC and the integrated way of medicine. And I would be happy to share that we got a huge success, even in facing some of the pandemic conditions, COVID right now, which we have faced, and got a good result, which we could help to many people. And right now also doing some autism cases, which is a very tricky condition where the kid is suffered, the parent is suffered, everyone is suffered, and we are able to relieve and give some, the elevation. And many fertility cases also we could do. So by this approach, I would like to conclude or finally say that united we stand and divided we fall. We have to be united and think in a integrated way to understand a person, because he is himself and the combination of many things. Just by one version or just by one thing will not give us the complete result. We need to be complementary to one another to preserve the greatest wealth, that is health. Thank you.
Super amazing presentation. Thank you so much. We already got the questions. So it was actually for the audience, Dr. Nilipa. So Marco from Australia is asking you that, which holistic health action do you personally practice daily? Like the saying, practice what you preach, and why? And the second part of the question is, how can innovation support your type of health vision? And can this be integrated into traditional medicine?
Yes, as I said, I practice homeopathic way of medicine, as I have to be abide to law and everything and legislation. So what I did was, through the pulse practice, pulse is a diagnostic tool. So it does not have any limitation of, this system, this type of this. It just, we need to learn, but it needs a lot of discipline, a lot of practice to understand pulse, because the changes are very subtle in pulse phase. So that was the main base I took. And then I tried to relate the homeopathic medicines to this pulse pattern and the body disease patterns to study. And homeopathic medicines I relate. And then the herb, which I think, like in Ayurveda, there is Dravya Guna Vignan, which is a very good book, which gives the details of each herb. If I feel that if there is a matching between the condition and his herb, I prepared in the form of tincture. Mother tinctures, which is a preparation of homeopathic preparation, as everybody knows, we prepare and give to the patient because it is easily digestible. It does not need any specific, digestive system is active, or some major cause of the today's disease is the failure of the digestive system because of the unhealthy food practices. So when I give the medicine, if I expect it to digest and then to dissolve, then there is a less chance of, it's working. So we adapted the mother tincture procedure, and it is working very well for us because it is out of this digestion. It is into the next stage of medicine. So it is easily getting into the body and will show its effects. So these is through homeopathic practice, I adapted the various type of philosophy and various types of medicine to my system of medicine, which I practice, abiding to the law. But if I really feel when a patient comes that no, he needs this type of medicine more, then I definitely forward it to that section. And we are anyway in future trying to put up an integrated way of hospital, where we will only have an Ayurvedic doctor, we will have an allopathic doctor, we will have everyone working together with the same vision. So that is how this.
Super. So we have got another question from Farah from Malaysia. She's asking, dear doctor, what is Rogabala in terms of Ayurveda or holistic medicine? How do you treat and manage psychosomatic conditions? Number one, anxiety, depression and physical conditions, obesity, and cardiovascular health. What are the suggested food, herbs, exercise that we can practice to manage all these conditions?
Well, the question is very small, but the answer has to be covered in various sections, and maybe I need 1 more hour to tell everything. But yes, Roga Bala is the strength of disease. Roga means disease or the suffering. It's strength. See, it's all like a war, you know. Our system, our prakriti, ourself is all one condition, and then there is an equal personality called the disease, which causes disease, which is the, if I see in that way, like it is also a personality. Because in homeopathy also, they teach us in that form, like it is a drug picture, you know, where it has the following, he has the mindset of such mindset, he easily gets, he's claustrophobic, and then he gets easily excited, he has anxiety and all. So if we when we look into like 2 different personalities having a fight, we need, as a doctor, we need to make sure that the Roga Bala, that is the strength of a disease, is decreased and immunity of the patient is increased so that he can overcome the disease. It's not like, see, if only the disease is decreased, it also has the chance to come again. You know, the strength of the disease can be brought back again. If we look through the line of the disease, how the disease occurs, we can understand that first comes the prakriti, which is started like the constitution which we have when we are born. Due to some lack of, we develop a disease tendency, which the homeopathy describes as miasms. You know, the disease tendency, like type of disease which you get, like Tora, Psycho, and syphilis, psychosis, and syphilis. These are the 3 major miasms which have been described, and now there are many. That is the different subjects, but the major 3 miasms. Now, this prakriti, when we lose our disorder, then only this tendency we develop. Now, based on the tendency, we get the diseases. We try to attract only those kinds of diseases based on the tendency. And these tendencies can be inherited also. But even to get inherited, we need to lack something in our constitution. That is the major point. So, along with decreasing the Roga Bala, we also need to increase the Rogi Bala. That is, we need to know what made it less in our constitution, supplement it or nourish it with that, so that this again does not develop so soon. And regarding the psychosomatics, it is a major part which plays an important role. See, the mind has become in one way very strong, in one way very weak, I see. We get easily stimulated to stress. We get easily go into depression. If you are 3 months, we are out of, you know, actually during this lockdown, everyone faced this phases like, you know, what happened, now everything is gone. When we are mentally weak, we automatically weaken our health, everything goes weak, and then we cannot find a solution. See, this pandemic was an unexpected for everybody. But what we need to do is to strengthen our mind, try to see what is happening and try to do what we can do. And that comes when we are in, you know, order to our health. And emotions and mind play a very important role. As I said, stress cannot be avoided. We need to increase our capacities of mind and body and emotionally be strong to tolerate the stress. You should not, neither you should avoid nor you should suppress. And the best means I have seen is flower remedy, or next I would select for meditation. Or there are many techniques which is going in the world. There are many which we can follow, but we need to see which is suitable to us, which is making us, you know, feel happy, which is making us to feel in a better way.
Thank you so much. We have got 2 more questions in the question and answer. Rupa, she's asking, mental health is most neglected yet important part of one's overall health. But when we have a disease in body, we can understand by symptoms. However, mental health cannot be detected so easily. Hence, Is there any technique where the deadline of mental health can be understood earlier and treated accordingly?
It needs a lot of practice and self-analysis, which I would say. Yeah, as she said, Ms. Rupa, as you said, it's very right. It's very true. To detect one's problem itself has become a big task now. But yes, we can understand. I think the morals are the best thing which I can say. You should know when we are, going out of limit. Everything has become uncontrollable right now. If a kid wants, wants to see TV, he wants to see TV. Or we are also sometimes giving the phones, and we are also encouraging him for the TV. We think it's only of a TV or a cell phone for doing our work. We do work, and we think we are giving to divert him. What that leading him is that anything he wants is uncontrollable. There is no limit. If there is discipline, if there is self-discipline, if there is self-analysis, we can easily understand where we are getting deviated and where others are getting deviated, like our family members or kids, and help them out. It is just that lack of inner vision. We are more looking to the outward vision. We are more looking to the conditions. This has got me stressed out. That's why I'm like this. Has become the condition. Let us see why we couldn't tolerate that stress is the question. See, stresses are every way. When we see in the inner side of the body or inner side of ourselves, then only we understand where we are lacking of and where we have to overcome it. And I would definitely not believe in blaming. It's not exactly the blaming, but putting the condition, saying that because of that I am like this. As long as we are looking outside, we cannot find any solution. Trust me, the struggle is more to you only. Whatever the condition is, whatever the outside condition is. And as you said, mental condition is the first condition which you need to understand, which you need to resolve. Many of the physical conditions get resolved. Even the diabetes, which is now, very common disease. As far as I have seen, or through the pulse, which we can understand, or it is because of the feeling that in the core feeling we lack the sweetness of the life. We are not able to enjoy the minute which we are in. We are always in the cat race. No, today we have done this, tomorrow I have to do better. Okay, done this, then done this. When is the stopping? I don't want you to stop, but I just want you to understand and enjoy this stage first, and then you go for the next. That's why the diabetes, in my feeling, in psychological condition, that is the difference. 10th ke baad 12th. After 12th, it is 10 first. Then job may higher. We are always in the race. When are we going to relax? That's the point. I'm not saying, we enjoy the stage for some time. You get the mental satisfaction, then move to the next part. Then we will be in the race. Otherwise, everyone, we will be running over you the whole life. And then finally, we will end with the diseases and conditions and health disorders.
Okay, so we have got another question, the last one from Fadi Nafa, because we are running out of time. So Fadi is from Lebanon. He is asking you, based on your experience, what is the time frame required so a person adopt to the healthy eating lifestyle and it becomes natural and he can follow without effort?
The main thing to actually, it is the best way to get back to life to one's own constitution. But nowadays, there is even the food, vegetables is getting equally adulterated with the insecticides, unnecessary insecticides, pesticides. So what organic food, if you are able to take, which is, pesticides when it is necessary, at what same problem, when there is necessity, if it is used, and then we can consume the food, then it is very useful. But so the main point which we need to consider with the food is also it should be chemical free, preservative free. See that maximum it is fresh. But food is the first and the major option. Food and the lifestyle is the first and the major option which you can opt to get back to your health. And then 6 to 8 months. But you need to understand which type of food you need to take. See, the disordered part is, as I said, it does not happen at a time. It just doesn't get skipped. If you're supposed taking one type of food, you can come to one stage, and then you need to understand which type of food you have to take next. I'm not asking you to even to restrict the food. First thing is all your mind condition. You try to enjoy every food you're taking. Definitely take the healthy food, and then try to understand the taste and try to, sit patiently, keep your cell phones and, the everything away, fully concentration on food and understand the taste. Yes. And then the next work. When this is done, when just the pace is a bit slowed down, everything I think would fit fine. If you adapt, definitely the next generation would see you and will help you to, will think, okay, so this is the way to lead us, right? So I think the food is the best thing. Yeah.
Okay, so for the sake of the time, I'll be skipping all the questions. Just one question from a good friend of ours. What do you think about fasting? It's a question from Singapore, from probably our common friend.
Okay. Fasting is also good, but to a limit. I think everything is necessary. Everything is good and helpful. Fasting, there are many types of fasting actually. Even in the rituals, they kept fasting. There is intermittent fasting, which is now a naturopathic technique, which is used for reduction of health or detoxification process. But please keep to one limit. Don't get so obsessed about the food and fasting that you lose your control on the mind and you start only thinking how much calories I am eating or how much grams I am taking instead of enjoying the food. That is what I say. See, in my condition, the first thing is mind. Mind makes a major role. If you are proper in the mind, automatically you can face any kind of situation, even if it is a pandemic or even if it is a sudden arisal of the food. Mind plays a very important role in my condition, in my view, or whatever treatment I have given. So please concentrate and try to have an insight rather than an outer vision. So that is what I feel. So even then anything can be managed if we are
Thank you, Nilipa, for all the answers and beautiful insights. To be very honest, for all the audience, I can see that there are questions coming up. For the sake of time, I can't take more questions. I'm really sorry because our next speaker is always there. But yes, if Dr. Nilipa is staying here, I'll be taking up this question and she'll be probably answering it after our next speaker. So Dr. Nilipa, for the audience, let me tell you, she is really a great human being, a great soul. I have been interacting with her for last couple of weeks, and to be very honest, she is so helpful. I can't, give you that expression. She is always there. Her clinic is there. So please do visit her and understand how you can become better human and do good in life. So with this note, thank you so much, Dr. Nilipa, for being with us. And then please stay tuned for World Leaders Summit 2020. It's happening from 7th December to 16th of December, 10 days continuous basis. I can see.
So Mr. I just want to make one more announcement. Like we are also conducting a meditation on 27th of December, keeping in mind this pandemic condition. So if anyone is interested, they can just let me contact me so that it's a free session. We are just sponsored by our MSPC, considering the mental conditions and state of the during the pandemic and all. So anybody interested, please they are also welcome. Thank you, Mr. Arijit Bhattacharya. It was very nice to interact with you.
Pleasure is ours, ma'am. Thank you so much. So ladies and gentlemen, let me welcome Dr. Prashun Misra from US. So Dr. Misra is a CEO of Precision Biopharma Inc. He is the president of American Association of Precision Medicine, AAPMP, and he is the chair AAPM Coronavirus Task Force, ACT. So please welcome Dr. Prashun Misra. Stage is yours, sir.
Thank you, Arijit. Thank you for that kind introduction, and thank you for organizing this summit. And I would like to thank you and the rest of the World Leadership Summit team for bringing us all together. I truly enjoyed earlier presentations and admire the insight provided by earlier speakers. Actually, so so with that, we all have lived an amazing life, actually. I myself have witnessed remarkable things in my short life, and I'm also very optimist. But I have to say, I have never anticipated that year 2020 will turn out to be like this. So with over 63 million confirmed cases and over 1.54 million deaths worldwide, COVID-19 is here to stay. Now it is well established that COVID-19, much like measles, HIV, and chickenpox, is an endemic, not a pandemic, it's an endemic, and likely will remain with us for a long time, even with a vaccine, actually. And SARS-CoV-2, the virus causing the disease, COVID-19, is here to stay for decades as it infects millions around the world. And it is now clear that even children are susceptible, and there is no age group that will be excluded from this deadly path. So I would, request youngsters in this audience to be mindful of that. I will repeat myself: there is no age group that will be excluded from this deadly path, and eventually we are all going to know someone who got infected or died from this disease, actually. So that's a grim remark, but I think I have discussed this with many experts, and sadly that's true. And with that being said, now this poses an important question: how do we live with COVID-19 safely? Actually, that's what we have to so now this is going to be a part of our civilization. So there are several ways, prevent, or we can, like we have lived with HIV, chickenpox, prevent this. So we can prevent the spread of COVID-19, like social distance. We can follow. We have been following social distancing, masks, hand hygiene, and a use of cohorting to eventually having sort of an immune passport, actually. So the antibody testing that will basically tell you who is immune and who is not. But is that a right approach? Now we know that virus targets an immune system, our immune system, T cells. Now we have data that folks who have recovered are getting reinfected, and some even have died. So these are the folks who who thought they got COVID and they recovered. They they got reinfected and eventually died. So this is very concerning, actually, and this is and this is also concerning when the vaccine is being launched. Actually, we have to really be mindful that this has really happened, actually. So in the individuals who already had infection and have developed immunity, they also got reinfected. So let's all be mindful as the vaccines are being distributed. And we know that COVID-19 is a healthcare crisis, and that is why, for investment purposes, the pharma, diagnostics, digital health, and healthcare industries are the favorite of the hour. And we all have seen a host of recent announcements of multi-billion-dollar investments in this sector. And as COVID-19 and an endemic is here to stay, I predict that we are going to see a good number of industries pivoting to a healthcare business. And at the dawn of pandemic, we saw several industries pivoting to create goods and services that were needed during the pandemic. So ventilators, masks, and other medical supplies. And we are still seeing that happening. And now, as we are again, as the second wave is rising, we are still running out of those supplies. And also, we have seen unprecedented adoption of digital health, like telemedicine, during this pandemic. I still remember earlier this year having a conversation with one of the digital health veterans, and we were wondering why adoption to telehealth is just 8%. And then COVID came, and now we know it's over 80% adoption, actually. So digital health and solutions would be the need in the future. And and we will integrate remote patient monitoring in the routine care. We have done it, and we are continuing to built upon that actually to come to basically much better approach. And adoption to telehealth will also reduce hospital visits and is estimated to bring cost of healthcare down actually, which is a good thing for a patient actually. And I can share a story like Arijit mentioned of ACT, an AAPM coronavirus task force, which was the first COVID-19 global task force actually created by American Association for Precision Medicine. And so the American Association for Precision Medicine, or AAPM, abbreviated as AAPM, its goal is to accelerate the field of precision medicine through research, education, communication, and collaboration to foster new medical breakthroughs actually. So one of our goal is to bring 4 P's of precision medicine: patients, providers, public health planners, i.e. government, and payers to work together to achieve the goal of delivering improved outcomes actually. So that's the organization I have a privilege of leading. And as I mentioned, it was early January 2020 in the midst of JP Morgan Investors Conference in San Francisco. And some of you would know that the whole world's investor community gathers in San Francisco early January, and that's where AAPM co-hosted 3 different events actually. And with these annual events, there are many opportunities to network and have happy reunions with old colleagues who are kind of gathered from all corners of the globe. And I got to meet with several international conference attendees, including colleagues from Wuhan, China. And some of these friends were excited to be visiting from China to celebrate Chinese New Year in the Bay Area and vice versa. And later I learned that there was a word of new virus sickening in a small population in Wuhan, actually. And some physicians thought it was highly infectious, and several deaths were reported in local hospitals. And we initially thought that the disease outbreak would be contained in China and wouldn't impact US. But my previous experience of studying RNA viruses and pandemics, my alarms went off. Could this be early warning of an imminent pandemic? And I knew that there was something serious coming. And as we very well know, a spark could turn into a blaze, and a large one, a large one in a quick fashion. So it was that time we immediately started building a task force, recruiting people through. So I started with my network and soon realized that the gravity of the situation when this whole city of Wuhan was quarantined ahead of Chinese New Year celebration to prevent the spread of novel coronavirus and now notoriously known as SARS-CoV-2 and its associated disease. Now we know it is called COVID-19 actually. So in late January, ACT task force, which is the first COVID-19 global task force, took shape and became a worldwide network of over 200 experts spanning clinical, scientific, technical, and advocacy backgrounds. And the task force mission is to develop, deliver, and disseminate strategies for COVID-19 specific prevention, diagnostics, therapeutics, supply chain logistics, AI-driven solutions, and impact investments, and providing funding opportunities for entrepreneurs. And our mental health has been one of our major focuses, and other patient-centric precision medicine innovation techniques. So today, fast forward today, we are building and deploying real-world solutions to fulfill the unmet needs of COVID-19 patients. And the ecosystem has generated massive intellectual property and has spun out several companies and deployed solutions in area of drug treatment, safety, biohazard, surgical continuity, outbreak prevention, diagnostic support, and mental health psychotherapy, all focused on helping COVID-19 for patients. And we are bringing a comprehensive precision medicine approach that has not yet been applied in COVID-19. And some of our contributions are, I can highlight in mid-January, ACT launched a weekly public meeting. So this was the Thursday meeting when the whole community, all the community globally global community gathered and then shared. And, we had access to information that no news media had, at that time. And we prepared our communities, our families, and our at large networks. Actually, we created several social media groups that have thousands and thousands of members. Actually, ACT has been helping hospitals and healthcare institutions, with a lot of supplies that they were running short, connecting with them to right stakeholders. And so AAPM also partnered with Grit Health and launched world's first cancer and COVID initiative to support cancer community. So the cancer community was really struggling that time, and they really didn't know, the hospitals are closed, where they should go for their chemotherapy, and then how everybody was kind of concerned for their life, actually. So we were the first to took that initiative and launch that. And as we have seen, the mental health, there was a previous discussion was focused on mental health. ACT realized that this pandemic is not just a healthcare crisis, but also a mental health crisis. So we launched our mental health task force, and mental health task force meetings were rebranded as Tranquil. It was a tranquil space where these were weekly public events bringing together revolutionary thinkers to share their stories and perspectives on well-being. And as we all were socially isolated, these are some of the world leaders that were sharing their experiences, how they survive, how they are surviving the pandemic, actually. And some of these were the top physicians who were cancer patients, and they were all frightened for their life during the pandemic, and they were all socially isolated, but still treating the patients, still spreading the goodwill. It was an amazing experience. And in April 2020, AAPM launched the world's first global COVID-19 summit, bringing CGS 2020, bringing the world leaders in pharma diagnostics together to brainstorm how do we strategize drug development, diagnostics, as well as supply chain and manage supply chain issues, how to get the drug diagnostics to patients, actually, and vaccine. And so we have been hosting monthly global hackathons. So we also launched an innovation community, and so global hackathon attracted several hackers worldwide. The hackathon we called Act to Hack, Act to Hack COVID, actually, and then Act to Hack became really popular, and we created and Act to Hack seeded several companies. Some of those companies are really multi-million-dollar companies now, actually. So these solutions are just a small snapshot of solutions the ACT task force has in its works. And to date, ACT has spun out several companies to bring the solutions to physicians, communities, and patients, including a company that is planning its clinical trials with a leading drug candidate, which we believe can be a possible cure for COVID-19. And for the investors in the room, from investment perspective, we all know that global landscape for businesses is rapidly transforming in the COVID-19 era. And as businesses reopen, some markets will recover faster than others. And we have already seen, and we have some sense of it. And it has been speculated that emerging markets will get hit harder by the effects of COVID-19 as compared to developed markets like the US. So we see that there was little effect on the pharmaceutical sectors as well as established companies. Established companies, for example, Roche, Amazon, Netflix, Apple, Gilead Sciences, their stocks are doing well. It's smaller businesses, that have suffered in this pandemic. So taken together, we will see a drastic shift in the investment philosophies of many seasoned investors who will keep their focus on healthcare. So the investors who will pivot to healthcare sector and to get a better ROI on investment. Moving forward, I see that investors pivoting their focus, and they will and make healthcare sector as a priority. And although the pandemic has catalyzed more fragmented world order, actually, actually. In my opinion, this is in the benefit of us to be more collaborative than competitive. So, I think all the countries, they have their own battles to fight. So I don't think there will be, we will see, some wars, or, now all the countries, they have prioritized their resources, in kind of containing the COVID in that. So I think it's in our benefit to work together, actually. And I believe that although pandemic has disrupted our lives, it has accelerated innovation and collaboration in unprecedented ways. And we have seen that hospitals were built in days, drug and diagnostics were approved and launched in record time, vaccines were, there's a history that has been made in just 1 year. Vaccine, RNA vaccine that has been kind of from discovery to launch, actually just all done within 1 year in record time. And my appeal to the world leaders will be to keep on going with this accelerated pace of innovation and collaboration, and let this be a new norm. Actually, I think and there were several of us that were, who were advocating this from the beginning, but we all now are happy that at least something from COVID-19, some goodness from COVID-19 has come to the world, and agility is one of the positive sides of COVID-19 that has brought to the human, that has kind of reinforced upon us, actually, to bend some of the rules, that stringent rules, and see how we can work around those rules to deliver the solutions to patients, actually. And I'm happy to see World Leadership Summit team coming together to organize this global event, and I'm very much impressed by the ideas presented. And there is a global challenge, and there is a global challenge. So this is a global challenge, and a global change is needed, and you are the leaders who will make this happen. So, as the world leaders, this is I think, so this has been a real challenge for world leaders to how to handle this crisis. And I have seen amazing examples of leadership during this pandemic. Folks working day and night, they are almost catching no sleep, all for the goodness of the society, and delivering best to the colleagues, patients, while humbly seeing patients losing their lives, and most importantly, kind of losing their life by not be able to breathe. That's kind of very sad, actually. It's one of the worst ways one can die, actually. So that's what the disease does. So I will leave you with this. Remember, it is not an idea that it is not you who chooses an idea. It is the idea that chooses you, and then it becomes your moral responsibility to manifest that idea through your conscious effort for a greater good. I believe that we all are individual pieces of a big puzzle, actually, and that we are all meant to manifest the bigger picture together. And through the process of my life, I have learned that life is not a competition. It is meant to be a collaboration. And remember, it's not just about you. It's about creating a better future for our greater self, which is all of the humanity and Mother Earth, actually. So thank you all for making the world a better place. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Prashun. And for the audience, for all the audience, he is one of the finest human being, and he's just a call away kind of person. It's not a joke. Like, all of a sudden you give a call to a person and say that, hey, you know what, I need a help, and the person is in front of you helping you. So that's Dr. Prashun Mishra. Apart from all those huge stuff that he is doing, in his inside heart, he is a great human being. So a question to you, Dr. Prashun, is from Marco Jamarelli from Australia. He's asking, he's giving you a congratulations and then awesome incorporation and incorporates. He's saying, individual optimism helped. Therefore, an ecosystem community is necessary. What is your view on that?
Yeah, no, I couldn't agree more, actually. I think thank you very much, Marco, for bringing that. I think traditionally innovation is fragmented. So there is an academic community, right? There is a industry community, and then there are startups, and then there is But this is there. You can see that as the COVID has shown us that there is a lot of fragmentation, actually. So, but what ACT attempted and has successfully done is brought all the stakeholders together, actually, at one table, and then see how how we can work as a community, and not just uh, having a profits or gains in mind, but putting a patient-centric approach. How do we utilize our lives to make to save a life, actually? And in case of pandemic, we are losing a life all the time, actually. We are losing folks all the time, actually, and we all are connected globally, and I think it's kind of very, very saddening. So I think the short answer will be couldn't agree more. The community is a global community. So now is the time to put our thoughts together as leaders in different fields, and see what the world we would like to live in, and actually, and what would be the the dream change that we would like to bring this world, actually. And we all have to, as a community, act towards making that change, bringing that change possible. And Arijit has several sections, from banking industry to healthcare industry to agriculture, holistic medicine. There is a mental health. There is and so on and so forth. So we all have to be, and we all have to come together and have a way, kind of an integrated. How do we create a society that is so the post-COVID society? I think the integrated mindset coming from an integrated community that acts globally, actually, and tries to make a difference, actually. That would be, and the incentives of this is not just getting benefited monetary, but how do we get meaning in life? How do we get satisfaction, actually? How do we contribute to the society and get the satisfaction? I think that's the bonus of working in the ecosystem like that. Thank you.
Okay, so a quote from Farah, our good friend from Malaysia. A beautiful quote, Dr. Prashant Misra. You do not choose the idea chooses you. And it is our responsibility to manifest that. Life is not a competition, it's a collaboration. It's just beautiful. Truly agree on that. Your comments, please.
Thank you. No, thank you. Thank you very much. Yeah, I think that's what I believe, actually. That's what I believe, and then that's what I learned in my life, that it's the idea in that chooses you. And if you don't act on it, the idea will hop on to somebody else who will act on it. So please do act on it, actually. Yeah, I think it's because it has chosen you and your community and your family and your society to be benefited from you. So it has to manifest from you. So I think so don't drop that.
Okay, so another question. If COVID relapses in one's body, is that affected person more susceptible to developing it, or is the body already immune? Is the risk of a second time higher or lower?
Yeah, I think we don't have enough cases to make definitive conclusions, but COVID is mutating like other viruses. COVID, so the SARS-CoV-2 is mutating, actually, and there's some data suggesting that the virus is getting more infectious, actually, so that's how usually viruses actually pass through humans, and then they use human bodies as the incubation as a incubator incubators actually, and then they evolve actually. So the reinfection, when reinfection usually can, so there are two ways that the virus can, so viruses usually hide in a human body. So there is a war between immune system and the virus. So if your immune system is strong, then it will defeat the virus, and virus will go and hide somewhere. And when your immune system goes down, the virus will manifest itself. It's the same viral strain, right? So there is and then, you know, since your immune system knows that, it can, you know, fight again and get, you know, and then kind of recover. This is not a definitive statement. You know, some recover, some may not recover. But the second scenario is much difficult, and when you are basically getting infected by a different a mutated viral strain that your body has not seen before, like it happens in flu actually. You know, I think every year a new strain of flu comes actually. So I think we have to just wait and watch and see if that's true with COVID-19. But I think there would be so that's the second scenario. But of the body's effect, you know, how it, I think that we have to still wait and see a large epidemiological study to make any definitive statements actually that will you know, answer your question.
Super. So I've got another question from WhatsApp. Ankit from IBM TV, he's asking, what do you think next big shift in healthcare post-COVID? Yeah,
that's I believe digital health is the next, you know, the shift has already happened, but I think that's that is, and we have, why do we have to visit a physician all the time and, you know, pay for the big infrastructures that humans have built, right? I think we are all having the second thoughts right now. So I think if I have to just name one, that's what I will say, digital health actually. This will transform the way we, as well as decentralized healthcare system where there's not run by hospitals, but then healthcare system is by just bringing the stakeholders together actually, you know. So I think it will be, so there is a lot to it, you know, delivering drugs by drones, you know, it's already happening in several, you know, prescriptions being sent online, right? And so then you don't really need, and utilizing blockchain. So traditionally pharmacists were the signers, and they were the police, they were policing that the right drug should go to the right patient, but that all can be done by blockchain, and, you know, bringing the security to the system, and the prescription can be brought to the patient actually, you know. So these are a few you know, areas that I'm very, very enthusiastic, and this will and now I think COVID will transform it in next 2-3 years. I think we'll see a, you know, amazing change in the healthcare system.
I'm sure. And for the audience, actually, during the COVID-19 time, I was, you know, involved creating one simple solution technically with one of the finest team from Denmark on a blockchain-based solution, which is practically detecting, you know, whether you have flu or any kind of infection disease in your body, utilizing your smart devices, and that became really, really cool. And I can assume what is the future that is coming up, of course, on health tech. And we have an amazing speaker who is there from health tech business. But yes, there is another question. Doctor, let me tell you, you know, let me define the term God. You know, you are the God. We understand that the doctors from PhD or non-PhD, doesn't matter. If you got that doctor, DR, you are God. And the full form of that God is goodness on demand. So we have another question from, again, WhatsApp. What about global health analytics and immunity passports? Interesting.
Global health analytics and immunity passports, right? That's the global health analytics. You know, can they elaborate on that actually? Yeah. So it's just a testing, or, you know?
I can see the person is there. Ankit, if you are there, I'm just allowing you to talk because it's your question directly. So you can unmute yourself. Ankit.
If not, just repeat that and I'll try to take
Okay,
a shot at
sure.
it. Yeah.
What about global health analytics and immunity passports?
Yeah, I think I think what he means is that, how do we analyze? So there are a few types of tests, right? So there is a PCR test, which is very sensitive, right? I think it just tells you within 1 or 2 days infection. A PCR test can precisely predict whether a person has a viral particles, even though the symptoms are not there. And then there is an antibody test that can tell you that whether you have been exposed to the virus and you have developed the immunity. So immunity passport is a concept where where if I have tested a negative to COVID-19 antibodies, so a negative to the virus actually, and I have tested negative to antibodies. So that means that I don't have virus, in my system, and I don't have immunity. So that means that I am naive to COVID-19 actually. So I can get infected, however, there's a second scenario where I am negative for the PCR and positive for the antibodies. So that means that I don't have virus, but I have immunity actually. So that means I was infected in past, so then now I was infected and now I have developed the immunity. And so this is what happened to President Trump, and this is what happens to folks who are now immune. They can they can get that immunity passport. But then as I said, that bringing, so now folks can get reinfected by COVID-19, can be researched. So then I think we have to rethink that immunity passport again, and see what how do we define that actually. I think the time will tell, but I think that's one way of kind of handling the travel as we gear up to open the airports actually in future in a really commercial way, right? So I think that'll help us actually.
Super. Thank you,
Hope I was
Doctor.
able to.
Of course,
Hope
of
I was
course.
able to answer the
Of course,
question.
of
Thank
course.
you.
Thank you, Dr. Prashant, for all the answers and the beautiful insight. So please stay tuned with us, and for all the audience, on December 13th, Sunday, after VR, AR, and XR and gaming session in the evening, we'll be having a panel of doctors who will be discussing more on the latest generation immunity system and the COVID-19 that is happening across the world. And there will be a couple of scientists who will be joining in the panel, talking and discussing and giving insights directly from horse's mouth. So stay tuned. And Dr. Mishra, so let me give all the thanks from core of my heart, joining us, giving us all the insights and all the information. Thank you so much. Please be with us. Anuj, we have the next speaker from Delhi, a youngster, a startup from medtech industry. Anuj, could you please unmute yourself and introduce yourself and enlighten us with your knowledge and vision?
Thank you so much, Arijit. Thank you so much for having me. It's really a pleasure being here. I was listening to Dr. Prasan, and it was really insightful. Introducing myself, I've been an entrepreneur. I've started 3 startups in the past. Working with it, I'm also an international partner at World Business Angel Forum. For my current venture at Atutum, we are trying to build a health tech ecosystem where we can help patients with chronic and critical care conditions have a better quality of life by providing them with an ecosystem where they can not only store their medical records, not only get all the medical access that they need, but also be prepared for any emergency situation that they may arise in the future, along with preparing their parents or their family for any diagnosis that they may receive in the future.
Super. So could you please, carry forward with your topic, and you wanted to discuss a couple of things probably. Do you have a slide?
I don't really have a slide right now. I mean, I really want to speak from my heart out here.
That will be great. Please.
Future of the medtech is something that's very close to me. It's an industry that I have been observing for the last 4 to 5 years now, and I think this year is one of the most landmark years for the industry, not just in terms of the innovation that's coming in, not just in terms of the new development, but also in terms of being the deciding factor as to where this industry chooses to go in the future, uh, how we uh, how we choose the course of our industry, how we choose our morality. So to start with, if I were to ask you to list down some of the most important discoveries in human civilization, what would be your thought? What would be on your list? Uh, Fire, iron, uh, gravity. I mean, take a moment here. List down your top three discoveries that you think are the most important discoveries in human civilization. So if you've made your thought, if you have your list, let me ask you this question. Does your list have penicillin, a drug that has saved billions of lives over the last 92 years, that has led to the discovery of countless other broad spectrum antibiotics? Uh, does it have insulin, a drug 425 million people depend on right now to live their lives? So starting with the history of medicine, I mean, medicine itself is as old as the human civilization, from cavemen discovering roots and then herbs to heal their injuries while they are out hunting, uh, to ancient physician in India, Sushruta, writing the earliest work of medicine and surgery, uh, all the way until 17th century, where we first discovered bacteria, where we first discovered that there are some microorganisms. Modern medicine has come in a long way in the last 2 or 3 centuries. It's something that would probably be considered no less than a miracle back in the time. Now, today, procedures like dialysis are not only saving lives, but they are actively improving the quality of life for patients with any chronic or with any critical conditions. And when you're talking about these innovation, when you're talking about uh, these improvements that are happening in the industry, you come across one word constantly over the last 10 years, which is sort of coming into the limelight: the word med tech, health tech. Uh, it's it's for the first time that we are seeing a mix of these two words combined together: medicine and technology. Uh, Medicine has always had need for doctors, but with the recent advancement in technology, both in software and in hardware, we have now reached a point where doctors alone are not enough. We also need engineers to come in with them to help them out, build their product, to help them out with new scientific methods. So take the example by comparing the modern COVID crisis to the cholera epidemic. Uh, Back in 1850s, everyone had this idea that cholera spreads along these miasma, that there's this sudden mist that comes across an area and affects everyone with it. And to counteract it, everyone had their own ways. They would use herbs. One common way was throwing lime in the street. So if you're walking down a path and then you see lime across the road, that's a sign that this area is affected by a cholera outbreak. Now, back in the 1850s, the father of epidemiology, Dr. John Snow, he was the first one to make his findings that cholera outbreak is from a water pump, not from a miasma. Uh, that his work involved him making a map of the outbreak, going to the affected region, finding the common factor in all those cases, making interviews with the patients, listing down daily cases, measuring the affected area from one single water source. And it was one of the most scientific work for its time. It was something that you would consider the top-notch scientist, the most educated person in of its time to do. Today, all of that information is available to anyone with a smartphone and access to internet. I can go online and with just a click of a button, I have access to the city's water supply map. I have access to maps highlighting the population regions. I have access to the number of cases that are being reported daily. So all of that factor, along with the modern technology, take for example your modern smartwatch. It has the ability to not only monitor your EKG, oxygen and pulse levels, but even detect if you have fallen or are unable to respond in a situation. And when you look at all these innovative product, it begs the question, what's next? Where do we go from here? And the answer to that would be one simple question, which would be personalization. One of the biggest biological collaborative project was the Human Genome Project, launched back in 1990s, taking 13 years to map the entire human gene sequence. And even before that, even before we mapped the entire gene and then created an idea to have targeted medicine that could counteract any genetic defect or any DNA related illness, we had targeted therapy before it. The first targeted cancer therapy, tamoxifen, it was approved, I believe, back in 1970s to modulate your estrogen receptor activities. Uh, and, and it's been a while. We have known that the modern medical challenges of the 21st centuries would need a precision approach. It would need a very targeted and personalized approach. If I may say so, we would now need a scalpel instead of a sword of a broad spectrum drug. Coming into this century, as science is moving further, specialized fields are becoming more and more narrow in terms of subject matter expertise. Take, for example, oncology, a field that's already very specialized, which is now developing into further niche, with academians dedicating decades of their career developing their expertise in just one or two organs or studying just one or two type of cancer. Uh, so if you are going to a cancer research professor, he's probably been studying lung cancer over the last 20 years. So while he's qualified to address any other type of cancer like blood cancer or bone cancer or colon cancer, his expertise still remains in just that one part of the body, just with the lungs. And that's where the personalization factor is gonna head on to the future. It's pertinent for me to also mention the hardware advancements here, because I really can't talk about personalization without mentioning all the hardwares that are moving forward. So with the growth in IoT devices and new age sensors that are coming in, along with 3D printing, gone are the days when medical implant and prosthetics were a luxury items. It's now reaching to a level where it can be mass adopted, it can be personalized and printed as per a patient, so that when they are taking in that prosthetic, not only is it, if I may say so, an artificial limb to them, but it becomes a part of their own body. Take, for example, the modern digital glucose meter or the modern blood pressure monitor. Anyone whose parents suffer from chronic hypertension and constant blood pressure issues understand that there is a constant need for monitoring it. And just 5 or 6 years earlier, the easiest way to monitor your blood pressure would have been to go to a doctor, to have them check it, and then just hope for the best, hope that it's okay. Now, just one sensor that you can have at home that can be used digitally, and then just at a push of a button, you have your blood pressure right there. Not only is it helping the patient at home maintain their records, monitor their health, but it's also helping hospitals record patients' vital faster. So rather than checking every patient manually, if you can check a patient at just a click of a button and process them quickly in an emergency situation where time is of the essence, that's where these products actually become life-saving in themselves. Uh, every life saved is a blessing. So any product that can do that is basically a modern miracle. Speaking of emergency situations as well, I mean, would you have ever imagined a cab company entering into medicine? If I was to go back 2010 and I was to tell you that, hey, Meru Cab would be an important medtech company, you would have probably laughed at my face, and rightfully so. But take this year for an example. We have two of the largest cab companies in just India itself, Uber and Ola, both trying to venture into the health tech sector itself. Uber famously had Uber Health, which they are now trying to integrate into their main platform rather than have it as a separate entity. Ola is partnering with the government authorities to make sure they can offer their vehicle as emergency services, as emergency vehicles to help accident victims reach out to hospitals. Lyft in US also has a VP of healthcare. So there's definitely a lot more to come from these innovative companies. Gone are the days where going into an industry, you would only be thinking about the work related to your industry. It's now reaching an era where you have to expand your horizon, where you have to expand your umbrella to keep more people under it. For chronic and critical care patients, it's always a matter of when and not if they will ever be in an emergency situation. Take, for example, type 1 diabetics. One of my closest friend has been a type 1 diabetic for almost 8 years now. My niece was diagnosed with type 1 diabetes earlier this year. So it's for the first time in my family, I had someone diagnosed with that condition. And being with my friend probably helped me, gave me an understanding about what to look out for. When he would explain me about how he has to be constantly prepared in case there might be a hypoglycemic incident. Uh, it's when your blood sugar falls below a critical limit. So you're probably unable to speak at that time, you start shaking. And to anyone around them, it would be very easy to panic. If we don't understand that, it's very easy to panic. And it's in situations like these where every second matters. So moving on from the days where you would prick your fingers to note your blood glucose level, we have come on to a system where constant glucose monitoring technologies or CGM technologies are updating your data regularly. They are charting out your blood glucose levels in real time and doing that, updating that data on 10 minutes interval. So not only is that advancement saving lives, but it's also making sure that should there be an emergency situation, should there be a hypoglycemic incident and the patient is rushed to a hospital, that the hospital themselves can be prepared for incoming patients, because the solution for it would be to just offer IV sugar, IV glucose, and having it on hand first before the patients arrive. With just a few seconds difference, you could mean a patient going into coma and then a patient just walking out home in a matter of hours, if I may say so. Sharing an interesting fact about India, a country of 1.3 billion people, and according to the government data itself, so this statistic is something which we came across on investindia.gov. It's something that we found fascinating. The government themselves acknowledged that 70% of the Indian population living in rural areas have access to less than 30% of the healthcare infrastructure. Imagine that. It's mind-blowing that 1 billion people living on a fraction of healthcare infrastructure that that's available to everyone else. Living in Delhi, living in Mumbai, Kolkata, it's easy for us to imagine, oh, I have a hospital just a couple of kilometers away from my place, or I have a super specialty hospital within a radius of 5 kilometers. It's fairly easy to miss out on the fact that we are lucky and we are blessed to have that in our life, while a lot of people are still trying to get those basic necessities to get a doctor that can have them checked out. And it's for this very reason that we have been seeing a rise in telemedicine companies over the last 10 years, even before this COVID pandemic. There have been startups that have been coming up that have been trying to bridge the gap between doctors and patients. There have been companies that have developed telemedicine products and have constantly been pitching it as a product that they want to take to the rural India, which would connect doctors and patients and make sure that they can get their diagnosis as quickly as possible. A delayed diagnosis could mean a difference of life and death.
Thank you,
So
Anuj. Thank you. I'm sorry to, interrupt in between. We are just, running out of time. So we have 1 minute left for our next speaker, Dr. Rudra Prasad Shaha. He is already here. But you have a question from the audience. Vishal is asking you, what should medtech focuses on, prevention or cure?
I think the answer to that would be neither. Uh, when you're talking about prevention and cure, you are saying that uh, it's an either or choice. The answer would actually be both prevention and cure. Uh, Proactive care is the future, where you can not only diagnose a patient before the disease even arrives, but also predict using AI algorithms, using their medical records, that 10 years down the line, the patient is at a high risk for X condition. So not only are you curing the disease that the patient is suffering right now, but you're also preparing for the disease of the future. An example would be tuberculosis. A patient that's recovering from TB would develop lung calcifications that may rupture 20 or 30 years later and would probably lead to internal bleeding in the lungs. So the answer is not either or, it's both.
Super. Okay. Thank you so much, Anuj, for all your insights and all your, information. We'll be more than happy to have you once again in our Health Tech and MedTech Summit, which is coming up in near future. Of course, we'll have once a month daily practice for knowledge session and upliftment of society. We'll be more than happy to have you. For the audience, let me give you a very brief about Anuj. Anuj and me, we have been probably connected with each other for, I don't know, probably 1.5 decades back, when we used to work for Startup India, and he's a nice human being. We met in Delhi. We had a nice cup of coffee, even though we never ever met in person, but we have been connected virtually for quite a long time. But Anuj came and we had a nice chat during this COVID time when I was traveling to Dubai, and we have been discussing how we can probably uplift the whole community altogether. Anuj, a person from Delhi, a person with great heart, lion heart, and is always there for any kind of help. Please connect him if you need any sort of hand-holding. So thank you, Anuj, for being here and enlightening us with all your knowledge and insights. Please be there with us. So we have our next session with Dr. Rudra Prasad Shah from Adamas University. Welcome, Doctor, to our World Leaders Summit 2020, happening for 7th of December to 16th of December, with 120 plus speakers from across the world. Approximately 90 countries are participating in the summit, and they are asking us questions, shooting us with emails, blasting our WhatsApp chat, sending messages into our Twitter. Of course, they are trying to comment in your Facebook Live as well. So Dr. Shaha, the stage is yours.
Thank you very much for the opportunity to talk in the World Summit, World Leaders Summit 2020. So can I share my presentation?
Of course. You have all the permission.
Okay, thank you very much. So let me share first. Okay, I hope it is visible.
Yes.
Okay, so first of all, thank you again for the organizer and Orijit for providing me opportunity to talk about the COVID-19 pandemic and how it is impacting on food and agriculture in the food biotech sector. So as you know that COVID-19 since December 2019, though there is lots of controversy about the origin and the timing, but approximately we are at that moment almost 1 year since the first reported case of infection, and till now we have not actually recover from this particular setback, and the world economy, all sectors are presently depressed. So today I'm going to talk about the food and agriculture sector and how COVID-19 is affecting this particular sector. You know, due to COVID-19, most of the government lockdowns and the access to different services are limited, and similarly the farming agriculture is also affected severely due to the lockdown and other measures that government has taken. But since then most of the countries already lifted the lockdown, but still the effect is like a rippling effect. So right now according to Food and Agriculture Organization of UN, we are right now in a global food emergency, mostly because of the lack of the access to food. Because the farming, the agricultural sector, the farming is down. Most of the farmers are not able to get to the land to do farming, and also the transport, because of the transport issues and other things. Even if they are growing foods, they're not able to basically distribute. There is a distribution problem, transport problem. There are many problems are there, and due to that, there is a lack of access of food to the consumers, and that's creating rise in one hand, rise in the values or prices of all the food commodities, and also another problem in certain areas, there is non-availability of food items. So right now, more than 700 million people are going hungry due to not able to get access to the food. And at the same time, 135 million people suffer from acute food insecurity. According to World Bank, due to the pandemic, COVID-19 pandemic, economic impact could push about 100 million people into extreme poverty. As we know, there are developed countries, developing countries, developed countries, and in some of the countries where the condition is not good, so obviously access to food is a problem. Not all countries grow crops, and sometimes they have to basically import different food staples from different other countries. And due to this lockdown and other issues, travel bans and other things, access to those kinds of foods is not there in certain countries. That's create extreme poverty in certain regions of the world. On the other hand, compounding effect of the pandemic on existing crises. So COVID-19 is not the only crisis. There are almost every year there are certain different kind of crises that we suffer due to natural calamity, diseases, other wars and crises between different countries, and these creates a compounding effect on the food and agriculture sector. So these are basically the negative impacts on the global food security that currently we are facing, and unless we have the vaccine is ready, these kinds of crisis is going to go on for at least some time. So if you look at the direct impact on COVID-19, due to the nationwide lockdown, as also the other measures that different governments have taken, it's directly impacted on the agriculture, supply chain, food and nutrition. Now, obviously, the agriculture, the production, farming production is down due to non-accessibility of the land to the farmers, as well as other important items that are required for agriculture, So obviously, if the production is down, they're not able to supply the foods to different parts of the country. And also the transport and other bans created a lot of issues. So due to these reasons, the access to food to the consumers is down. If there is not access to food, obviously the food insecurity is gone up, as well as people are not having nutrition due to non-availability of all types of foods. And in certain regions where the economic conditions of certain countries are not good, they don't have access. As I said, that not all countries grow staple foods. And if due to the travel ban, the transport of foods from one country to other country is basically down, and that creates food insecurity and nutritional issues among different communities. Now, if you look at the sector, overall how the food and agriculture sector are existing, the ecosystem is very complex. It comprises of fish, agriculture, crops, livestock, forestry, multiple subsectors are there. And if one sector, the ripple effect to the other sectors also. And due to pollutions and other crises like COVID-19 crisis, accessibility, the accessibility to one sector is down. If there is not enough a production of certain staple foods, even other sectors are affected. And that creates a ripple effect among the whole food and agricultural sector, and we are facing the problem, the issues, the negative impact is being felt. So how to keep the agricultural sector and the supply chain working? Obviously, the government has to take multiple steps to correct issues. For example, already they have taken the lockdown guidelines. They have issued lockdown guidelines, but they also exempt the farm operations and supply chains. Whether it is, but still the supply chains, and due to because some the people has to reach the area, and due to transport issues and other issues, they are not able to. So implementation problems leading to labor shortage and raising prices should be controlled by the government. They have to take certain measures so that these kinds of problems can be solved. Then keeping supply chains functioning well is crucial to food security. It should be noted that 2 to 3 million deaths in the Bengal famine in 1943 were due to food supply disruption, not a lack of food availability. So the United Nations, the FAO of United Nations already mentioned that it is not the availability of the food. There is ample amount of food available in the world. The problem is that the supply chain, due to the disruption of supply chain, even if food is there, is not able to it's not reaching to the consumer. Farm population must be protected from the coronavirus to the extent possible by testing and practicing social distancing. Then farmers must have continued access to the market, and due to different issues, transport and others, they're not able to access to that. So this can be a mixture of private markets and government procurements. Small poultry and dairy farmers need more targeted help, as the pandemic related input supply and market access problems are urgent. As well as the lockdown measures have increased, the demand has risen for the home delivery of groceries and e-commerce. So we have seen in recent times that due to the lockdowns and other issues, people are actually going for online groceries, and they are actually ordering different types of food items through e-commerce sites. So these kinds of trends should be encouraged by the government and promoted. So if you look at the overall impact on the food production and distribution due to COVID-19, as I said, that most of the countries already have taken measures such as home confinement, travel bans, and business closure to control the rate of infection. The problem is that such travel restriction had affected every stages of food supply chain, with major impact on food distribution. And world merchandise trade is believed to be down 20% this year 2020 due to COVID-19 infection. Different agricultural sector such as crop, livestock, and fisheries hit hard by the pandemic. If you look at China, in China, due to COVID-19 infection, it causes a severe impact on the livestock farming due to the limited access of feed, animal feed, and the shortage of labor. Travel ban in many countries has affected delivery of breeding stock of poultry. Then there is fish. Fish is another important source of protein for many countries, people of many countries, and it almost accounts for 20% animal protein for almost 3 million people. Fishing activities are down due to this COVID-19 in different parts of the world, for example, Africa, Asia, and Europe. And limited supply inputs and labor shortage is another problem. Fish farmers are unable to sell their harvest, as well as there is a difficulty in aquaculture production due to lack of seed and feed. Agriculture produce are mostly perishable in nature, that we know. So farmers are compelled to store their unsold produce for longer period of time, which leads to reduction in the food quality as well as increase in the price of the food. The supply of milk and dairy is also been hardest due to COVID-19. Dairy farmers are compelled to dump milk. We have seen that in the news, and milk products have been affected due to that. Dairy farmers in America estimated that farmers nationwide are dumping nearly 4 million gallons of milk in each day. In Nepal, dairy products of 2 billion have been damaged, and dairy products in stock is about 5 billion seems to verge on the verge of deterioration due to transport issues and other things. So food security is a problem in different countries due to the decline in international trade, because many countries export food staples, and due to the international trade decrease, they are suffering. Disturbances in food supply chain and food production, food insecurity may rise in even coming year. FAO, the Food and Agriculture Organization of UN, had mentioned that small farmers and fishers may face difficulty in selling their product due to COVID-19 crisis, and other economic issues may come due to that. Food insecurity raised due to COVID-19 will highly affect the poorest and the most vulnerable segment of the population. At present, more than 700 million people are facing hunger, like close to 150 million people are facing acute insecurity, food insecurity due to that. So in a nutshell, we can say that the food and agricultural sectors have been affected badly, very badly due to COVID-19. Crop, livestock, fisheries, all have been affected by this pandemic. Food safety and security are a global concern at present, and supply chain, due to the supply chain has been hit badly, which causes the food insecurity in most vulnerable segment of the population. And so we have to be equipped with more sustainable, smart food agriculture system for combating these kinds of situations. Now, these are the problem. What are the solutions? So obviously the solutions are there, and so basically the solutions could be different. For example, I would say that recycle, reduce, and reuse, that the 3 R's, every country should basically accept and work. For example, some of the countries produce a lot of food, and due to overproduction, most of the foods are basically wasted. Now, those countries should do audit trash, like what kind of foods are being thrown away, and whether we can use, reuse, or recycle those kinds of food, or that has to be seen by those countries. Then, due to the overproduction and bulk purchasing, sometimes we purchase a lot of food items, and some of the food items are being wasted. So planning, and then therefore we have to plan accordingly, that we should not purchase foods beyond our requirement. Also, also the countries that are producing a lot of foods, and at that time when due to COVID-19 they are not able to export some of those foods, some amount of foods, they should limit the production, so that some of the foods are not gone to waste. And then reuse. Sometimes some foods can be recycled, even if you have produced a lot of foods. If you some way you can reuse those foods, then those foods can be again utilized. So recycle, reduce, and reuse, these should be the 3 R's, should be the mantra to limit the wastage of foods. Then innovation. Innovation is the area that we should look at. For example, smart farming or precision farmings where using technology, even if we have a small amount of farmland, that land can be utilized optimally to produce different types of crops or food items. And for that we need to use technology. With the help of technology, for example, precision farming or agriculture, the agriculture productions can be increased multifold. Some of the developed countries already have taken measures to convert their traditional agricultural system into smart farming or precision agricultural system. For example, USA, more than 80% of farming right now is like smart farming. They have used technology to increase production. Say use the same land to produce multiple different types of crops. But for developing countries like India, where smart farming and precision farming has not yet been utilized, is that 5% of the total land that we have right now using smart farming. So we have to adopt technology and research enterprise. So smart farming